It is March 21st, 2020. We are here at 5123 and 5125 Savannah Street in San Diego, California, 92110. We're here in a little mini crawl space area right in the very back of the building behind the laundry room and storage room that they have built off of here. And you can see we have some sewer pipes coming down. This is a 3-story building. It is required to have cast iron sewer pipes on all the vertical runs. The lines underground are allowed to be ABS if replaced, but everything vertical going up and then inside the walls, including traps and traps arms, is supposed to be all metal pipe for fire code purposes. That's the state of California and City of San Diego requirement. So some of this has been replaced with some ABS, not a big deal. And we're going to go ahead and inspect right here from this main sewer that comes down across to verify that everything's been replaced with ABS on the underground and across to the front yard, and that there's no issues with anything. So we can see a little stream of water down in there, so we know that water's been utilized because both units are currently vacant. So we'll be confirming. Okay, so you can see we have original cast iron here, so this might be an inaccessible part of the building where they could not get to it, but we do have a perfectly clean transition right here, good alignment. Just past the T-junction right there, picking up some plumbing. So we're basically looking to see if there's extreme heavy amounts of scale or buildup or deposits in the line that would need to one day be jetted out. Or of course we're looking for any cracks or breaks, and somehow some roots would be growing in from those as well. Here's another T-junction right here where everything is dumping into from all the units that are above here. Okay, so we have a little bit of roots intruding right here. So you can actually see that little web that's growing along the edge of the pipe right there. So there we go. We can see that we've got a little crack line. So right at this T-junction, which is kind of common, the leaded joints on this old style pipe, and again they've replaced a lot of the piping here, so they must have had problems with it. So we'll go ahead and take a quick snapshot photo of this, and now we're going to go ahead and pause the video for a second while we go ahead and locate to determine where we're at on the building structure. Okay, so we pulled back our camera just a little bit because right where the roots are, which is the T-junction that collects the kitchen for 5125. So we have the cold water from the kitchen running right there. So that is the T-junction that has gone bad and is letting roots get in. So there's the water flowing in, the cold water from the kitchen faucet that we have running in the downstairs unit essentially. We backed up a little bit because that T-junction you see right there is literally underneath the dishwasher, under the cabinetry inside that unit. Right outside the dishwasher and that kitchen wall is the patio deck area, so leaving the foundation wall of the property. But right here, as we backed up just a little bit to get a depth reading, the pipe is only about 15 to 16 inches deep. So it is relatively shallow, but it is under concrete slab. There's no crawl space there for access. So we just wanted to go ahead and show that. We've made a little green tape marking in front of the dishwasher in that unit, denoting the path of the pipe and the depth. And again, right in front of that, essentially, is where these roots are. So we're going to go ahead and just push forward a little bit here, and now we're going to go and shut this water off. So we're going to pause the video and then continue down the line. Okay, so we're now going to continue down the line. So again, here's the T-junction, picks up the kitchen, Here's where we have the crack and break in the line that is allowing some roots to get in. Small web right now. Right now is not required to have any type of maintenance or cleaning on the line. There's some foaming chemical treatments that can go down called aerobic foaming root killer. A little difficult to get it down through the kitchen drain, so it would have to be put down this clean out, and you need a lot of bottles, so you're probably looking for a plumber to do it at about $250 or so, because you need about 4 to 5 bottles to really cake up this line real well, plus the service call. But again, right now not really needed, but eventually it's going to have to be repaired at some point in time. So we're going to continue down this here so we can see the exact path of the pipe here through the foundation wall where they transition to plastic, and we're going to make a mark of that. Okay, and you can see, so that's right here basically, and it's also at a turn, because we do know that the line was partially rerouted, it looks like, when they replaced this with new plastic going forward from this point, because we can see all the saw cut lines, and we can see some of the old original cast iron in the front that was abandoned. So this cast iron is still in good condition, again, before the roots and this little bit afterward. But what we're going to do is we're going to go forward here to the very end of this cast iron run, right here. We're going to go ahead and turn on our locator and go ahead and mark this, the path, so that if somebody does have to dig up the line under the kitchen, they're going to know where they need to go to get back to tie it to full ABS plastic, which is what you'd want to do to abandon that last little bit of the few feet. So we're going to pause the video. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located where this cast iron ends. This is in the patio area right outside the glass sliding door of the kitchen of 5125, and you can see the saw cut lines in the patio area where they had replaced with ABS, and that's right where this is ending. The pipe here is only about a foot deep, and so essentially if that line was to be repaired, you would go from this plastic. You wouldn't leave these few feet of cast iron. You're already having to go from under the dishwasher and through part of the foundation. You would saw cut the last remaining 3 to 4 feet and get rid of the rest of this cast iron at the same time, so you have a clean connection point in and no other failures. So we'll continue down the line right here. There's going to be a 90-degree turn here for the reroute, and then there'll be another turn right after this. So this is going to be a little tricky sometimes on these long runs, getting through this many turns with our push camera. We may have to turn some water on. We do have another clean out though within a few feet of where we're at right here, and we have another camera actually sitting on the vertical there just so we can show we've reached this point. So we're going to go try to push through. We're definitely going to have to run some water, so we're going to pause the video for a second while we go ahead and get that started. Okay, it's a little noisy with the water coming down the pipes as well as sewer line, but we're going to go ahead and see if this water helps us push through these turns. We've got a couple 90s in close proximity to each other, so that's why it's really difficult to sometimes get through these. You can see we're binding up this next turn right here. So we're at this second 90 that's headed across, and it's just not going to make it through with this particular push rod we have on this camera. Again, we know we're pretty close, so what we're going to do is we're going to leave this camera right here and see with our second camera that we have positioned if we can go ahead and see at this turn, because we're just within a foot or so of that barely. So we're going to pause the video and move over to our secondary camera. Okay, so we have our second camera and this other clean out. We'll pull out here, but you can see there is our first camera right there that we have in the line, that we couldn't get past these two 90s, which are in quick succession of each other. But again, they do have this clean out here right after there, so it shouldn't be an issue. Typically, we don't like to see two 90s too close together. They do require a clean out, anything greater than 135 degrees in a turn. So theoretically, there should have been one actually just in front of this ABS transition. So if the kitchen kitchen line ever gets repaired, a clean out would need to be installed at the end of that ABS where it's converted, and another clean out even though it's a few feet, because you cannot go greater than 135 degrees without having a clean out. We're making 290s at 180 degrees. So there's our first camera that we could not get through that turn. So now we'll pull this back out just so you can see a visual where we're at. So this is the other clean out that they installed. Here is the outside of the kitchen wall for 5125, and again right beyond this wall, this window, that's where the kitchen and dishwasher is. That's where the sewer line has the roots getting in from the failure of the pipe. Right here, this little Sharpie pen, that is where the cast iron is ending, and then this is the saw cut marks where it comes across, and here's where the other clean out is they installed, then going down the walkway. So we'll now continue down the rest of the line to ensure everything is replaced and installed properly up to code. You can see this is all 4-inch new ABS plastic pipe. Little turn here. Everything is looking good so far, no issues. Continue down the line here till we get to the property line clean out. Turn here. Okay, here we're transitioning back into cast iron pipe. It is a clean transition right here. Just a little bit of deposits on the bottom right there. Looks like as we back up here, here's a T-junction. That's a vertical T. That should be our property line clean out, but we'll see if this is the original one, and then when the city replaced, they have a secondary one coming up forward from here. So push through this. So this is still all original cast, but it does look good. No root intrusions, no cracks or breaks as of right now. So we've made a lot of turns, and we have one right here, so we may not get past this point. We're going to go ahead and pause the video and locate this. Okay, so we have another camera in the line right now. We might have accidentally paused and started the other recording, but anyway, we have a third camera in here right now that's got a little bit stiffer push rod, because you can see right here, here's where the plastic ends. Again, we saw this already. This goes into cast iron. Now as this cast iron goes across here, we do have water running, so we're just running this to help get pushed in there. Right here we have roots intruding. So right here is where the cast irons, we back up, makes a turn and it's ending. And at this clay concrete hub right here to the cast iron, we have those roots hanging down. So this is just in front of the property line clean out that is all the way near the bottom of the driveway, about 5-6 feet before you get to the street. We're going to try to push past this point because the other camera we had in would not get by this. So these roots can just be maintained. We would not recommend replacing or relining the pipe right here. It's just once a year, once every 18 to 24 months. It's going to have to be probably snaked, just maintain the line. So see if we can get farther down the line or not with this other camera. It may or may not go. Again, there's just a lot of turns and twists. Let's see here. It doesn't look like it's going to help even with this camera. Only getting another inch or so down the line. But we can see coming up, again, we know we have a transition. Let's see. So we can see the pipe that's coming up. You can see actually the wall of the pipe, the thickness. That appears to be the PVC greenbelt pipe that is right at the property line clean out. So again, we've done everything we can. We have water running. We have a really stiff push rod on this camera compared to the other two we've been using. But even with water running, just cannot get this by. There's just too many twists and turns on the line to go by there. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video, and we're going to go ahead and move down to the last camera we have down at the property line clean out. Okay, so we moved down to the street level again with our original camera. So we're all the way up the top of the house there, and as the line comes down, you can see all these saw cuts in the concrete. And then as we kind of pan over to here, right where our tool's at, and paper towel, right in front of the property line, which again is about barely 5 feet in front of the street. Right here is about where we have that small root intrusion that will need to be maintained. So here, this is the PVC green belt pipe. You can see it's literally green in color that the city and their contractors installed to replace the line. So our other camera was essentially just missing getting to this T-junction. We could see the back side of it, but even though we had our camera hanging down the line, we couldn't actually see that. So going down this line right here, and we do have water running, but we're going to leave it running right now in case we run into any debris. So going down this pipe here, this appears to be all original clay still, so the clean out was installed, but the rest of the line actually wasn't full bore. There's the relined part right there. Okay, so you can see all the writing and numbers on that. So that's the city line right there. So that's why we don't see saw cut lines. This pipe was relined basically. There's the relining where it ends. There's the orange reddish clay, and gonna have to go ahead and stop the water just to make sure we don't see any buildup in the line here. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it right here at the city. We're gonna go ahead and pause the video. Okay, so we have the water turned off. We're just gonna verify this clay pipe has no other issues in it that need to be maintained. Looks okay there. That was what we were worried about. Coming back up this clay pipe. We're inside the street right here, headed back across, not finding any issues with it whatsoever. Okay, so there we have a huge root intrusion. Okay, so that's literally right where this T-junction was put in as well. So blew through this with the camera and all the water was running. So as we back up here, you'll see it's actually blocking massive portion of the line. You can see it's just folding over, and then we immediately come back up this vertical PVCT. So another bad connection that was installed when this T-junction was done. Whether or not this was the city that put this one in for their process, or the people that were replacing some of the plastic for some reason, but I don't know. We didn't do the work, so I'm going to go back down one more time here, and we can vertically see just by measurement how deep the pipe is, but we're going to put our locator down there just to double check it, just past it a little bit, just to see if there was a quick depth change. So okay, our camera kind of flipped over on itself here, going the wrong direction because of all that debris. There we go. So here's all the end of the roots. I'm going to push just past here. We're going to pause the video. Okay, so we pushed down the line a few feet just to verify there was no great depth change, because sometimes the slope of the pipe is so extreme it makes a really big difference when you're digging, but it's not. We have a standard grade of about 2 to 3 degrees, which is that 1/4 inch per foot. As we back up here, again, this is where all the roots are. Just underneath the T-junction where this clean out was put in, you can see they're blocking all the system basically. So this is 6 feet deep right here. You can literally use a tape measure and find that. And so the line is going to need to be maintained immediately here. So we're going to go ahead and pause the video, and then we're going to go just check if there's one laundry drain for, I believe, the 5125 unit that may have an 1.5 inch line, and it's required by code to be 2 inch. We're going to check that. Okay, so the last part of our inspection here, we're in 5125, and this is the closet storage room that has, of course, the water heater there, and then has the laundry. So you can see this recessed box we have inside the wall. You can see that it's a 2 inch piece that's supposed to be glued into here. Again, it's supposed to be 2 inch, but we can see this reducer bushing that was installed and immediately goes down to 1.5 inches. And immediately seeing now that we got our camera down here, it's staying 1.5 inches. It's required by code to be 2 inch, especially otherwise with laundry you will get suds coming out. Now it appears that what they might have done though is left the original piping, not sure. You can see a little bit of debris right there and colorization. So it does look like this is the original copper line. So what they did was they just cut part of the standpipe and replaced just a little bit with plastic, but they left the original trap and part of the standpipe. So this is essentially grandfathered in, but it would have been good if had they upgraded to the 2 inch size. So shouldn't be an issue, but we just wanted to verify that. Now again, we're just going to look down this really quick. We can see a little stick of some type and some other little debris there. Well, I don't know if that's construction debris, so that's kind of a concern yet. We can see a screw head right there. So you can see in the upper right of the screen. So this really will need to be opened up and cleaned out and then just replaced at that time. So I can see, I'm going to move the camera through. I don't really want to try to get through this heavy debris with the camera, but again, we can see as we go through, we could see that one piece. Let's see. Now it's actually going to be really hard for the camera, even though this is a small camera, to maneuver through this copper elbow. So we kind of pushed a little bit of that across, but we're not going to get through the turn and get a better unobstructed view. So this drywall will need to be opened up. It is new drywall, so it does not need to be tested for lead paint or asbestos. But that trap's going to need to be cleaned out, but in the same time we wouldn't really just clean it, we would cut it out, put in a plastic one to get that debris out of there. So again, this is the transition right there. We come back out. We got about 2 feet of plastic pipe from the box down to about right here, and then all the way down the rest of the height is going to be the original copper, the trap, and then running across either this way or to the corner to the T-junction for the vent, and then downward. So that needs to be opened up and repaired to get that foreign debris out of that area. It cannot be snaked. Those are metal screws and some other stick. That needs to be physically removed from the drain line so it doesn't get pushed farther down the line and cause more issues. So that concludes the recording for these properties.